Welcome everyone. My name is Michael Deutsch. I am the Vice President of MindManager Products, and I'm here today to share with you a demonstration of MindManager 2019. This is probably one of the biggest and best releases we've ever put out there, and I'm super excited to share with you the capabilities, or some of the highlights actually, because it's too big to do in a quick demonstration, to show you everything that we've added to this powerful release. So I'm going to use an example with Rally Robotics, which is going into their strategic planning process. So I'll just jump right in. Rally, as part of their process, brainstorm their SWOT analysis, their strengths, their weaknesses, their opportunities, and their threats. Inside MindManager 2019, we've provided some new capabilities that enable you to start to visualize, categorize, and see information in new ways. That shows up inside MindManager with two new powerful views, the tag view and the icon view, and they work similarly. I will show you how right now. So I jump into the tag view, and this view is by importance at the moment. So I can just look at and assign values and tags of importance to any of the content that was brainstormed in the diagram. So I'm just going to simply drag and drop this information across the diagram to the appropriate columns. Now, in the columns themselves, you can quickly show or hide any of the columns. In this case, I'll just collapse these two columns. You can quickly add additional ones. I'll just put this one as an example and hit close. And then I can also drag the columns into any place within this view as well. Or I can just remove this example real quick. So just to carry on the example real fast, I can just select any of these topics and drag them into the appropriate position in the diagram. And now everything is assigned. Pretty fast, pretty powerful, a nice way to see the information in a different way. Now, if we jump back into the map view, you can see here that everything now is tagged appropriately based on that tag view. If we go back in the tag view, just want to quickly highlight that we have for each of these views a contextual ribbon and menu that comes up with additional commands. So you can come in here and sort things differently, you can mark things complete, or drive down into greater options as well. Within the diagram, I think I mentioned it, but if I didn't, you can also resort and reorganize any of this information. And if you want to add your own tag groups, you could do that right through the view, clicking Add New, and then answering the questions of the tag group, what's the group name, and then ultimately its values you can add in through the view itself. So that is essentially the tag view. Now if we move over to the icon view, it works in a similar fashion. You can then simply drag and drop any of these topics, let me grab those, into any of these columns. And once they're in the columns as well, similar to the tag view, you can reassign or change the priority essentially within a column, or switch columns with a fast and easy drag and drop from within the diagram itself. So here we have it, the icon views. If we go back into the icon view, this example was by flags, but we can easily go to priority or smileys or arrows or any of the groups, tag groups or icon groups that you use in your diagrams. You can select from these contextual ribbons or create your own groups as well. Back in the map view, you'll see now that the values that I dragged and dropped into the different tags as well as the icon groups now are visualized inside the diagram itself. For the next part of the demonstration, I'm going to talk about a few different features. So last year with MindManager 2018, we introduced the ability to add a few shapes. And with those shapes, you could do a few things. They can go in the background of a diagram to create new types of diagrams. For instance, last year, we introduced the circle shape, and then from that, and the oval, and from that, you can create all sorts of Venn diagrams, onion diagrams, and other things that may require that type of shape. In addition, we introduced the swim lane diagrams. So This year, we've seriously expanded the number of shapes that you can use, the types of shapes, and what you can do with them. So with smart shapes, we've included this year in MindManager 2019, the funnel shape as well as matrices. And you can, from the reason why we call them smart is you can set the number of levels within each of these types of shapes. So the funnel, you can say you want it 3, 4, 7 columns or rows. Within the matrices, the same thing. You can set something up to be a 2x2 matrix or 4x4, a 3x5, etc. Now we've also added a bunch of controls that make it easier to get the end result that you're trying to get. And again, you can use these to make new diagrams entirely, or you can add them as background or boundaries within business process diagrams, workflow diagrams, flows, any type of process visualization. You may want to group things with these boxes or ovals or triangles to articulate and group things more logically within your diagrams and making them easier to read. Then also adding images and or text boxes for further clarification. It becomes really powerful. With the new design and editing tools, we allow you to align the shapes more accurately, size them more accurately, even rotate them to create all sorts of new diagrams and ways to look at the shapes to form these types of diagrams. Now, we also added the ability to name them, and that makes it easier for two different things. First, in the elements section of the map index, you can see all the shapes in the diagram itself. So if you expand here, there's a lot of different shapes, whether it's rectangles, circles, etc. Renaming them would make it easier to locate. And the reason why you want to locate them is you might want to unlock it so that you can edit it further or move it or resize it, etc. So that's one of the things. The second thing that we added was grouping shapes together, which makes it easier to resize everything or move everything in one effort as opposed to resizing many different parts of the group. You can also find the group shapes here inside the elements index as well, and you can rename the group for easier finding, and then you can unlock or lock them as well with the right click. And you can also ungroup from here as well. So in this instance, we have the arrow as well as the text grouped together. And if I wanted to rotate it in a different way or change the angle, it would be easier to do as a group than all the discrete pieces that make up the group. So that's the first of two features I want to show you before we move more into the example. The next set of features builds on something we introduced again last year, the conditional formatting capability. This year, we call it Smart Rules because it's gotten exponentially more powerful. I'm going to show you a few examples of how, but beyond conditional formatting, we now allow you to change the effects and data of a topic based on the variety of triggers that are part of the rule itself. And the sections on the left-hand side illustrate the new capabilities inside this release. And don't let the numbers of the blue text fool you. It is exponentially more powerful. And I'm about to show you why. We've added two new capabilities that say from a trigger perspective, if a topic belongs to a branch or a topic location, then apply any number of effects. So just to quickly show you how powerful that is, I'm combining a matrix from the smart shapes that I just went over. And now as I move a topic from one section to another and just drop it into the diagram, you can see it's applying both conditional formatting and different data based on the location within the diagram. And that's super powerful. You can start to build business process rules into the diagrams themselves, which update the data, the look and feel to make the diagram more interactive, more intelligent, and convey exactly what you want it to convey with fewer steps as your process evolves. And as the diagram or the process evolves, and it will evolve and look and feel differently and contain all the right information based on where it lives. So that's one example. The second example I'd like to show you is in the form of belonging to a branch. So as I add topics in this example, you can see that automatically new topics create a percent complete, a 0% complete indicator of the topic itself. And that actually creates an instant task list. But in this example, I've created a bit of a Kanban board right within a branch. And I can grab some topics and move them from the backlog into in process. And then automatically, because of where these topics live in the in progress, we've advanced the status to be 50% complete. Now, if let's say I take these two and drag them into the done bucket, what do you think will happen? Yep, it's going to mark it complete. And that's simply from dragging and dropping into the appropriate place will apply both data and visual cues to signify something entirely different. So here we have the example of when it belongs to a branch, start to apply some of the formatting rules like color, some of the data and content rules like the progress and advancing the progress from 0 to 50 to 100% complete. So just to quickly wrap that up, here's another example from the strategic planning where all the different opportunities now are going to be placed in this risk-reward matrix. So as an individual will drag and drop information into the different sections of this diagram, a couple of things are happening. I'm just going to put that in the right place. So a few things are happening here. One, it's providing some visual indication as to what's good, what's okay, and what's best. And that is something that would be, for instance, high risk, low reward. They're going to visually mark it up as red to say, hey, warning, we don't want to go there. Possibly things we might want to consider would be in the yellow section. So this is all built on rules now behind the scenes. That is an easy to implement rules wizard that allows you to define both the color, the look, the feel, but also I have in this example, the topics themselves are inheriting property values that roll up into calculations. So a score could be applied and calculated based on its location within the diagram. The cool thing also that we implemented within the release is that you can save any of your rules into a library and you can apply them on all new maps that you create, building a greater consistency in how you process information across all of your projects, all of your strategic planning maps, all of your brainstorms, etc. You can apply consistent look and feel, updates of information. When you mark things complete, you may want to change the shape. You may want to bold the text or put strike through the text. Whatever you want to do to the text and the data, you can now run behind the scenes and enable it to run across all your maps. Super powerful. Now moving forward, in the example is some updates that we've added to the project planning. In this release, we've enabled effort-based planning. So if I take a topic, I'm going to talk through this really quickly. I'll open up the task information. In this example here, we have one task with one resource that's going to take 2 days, and it calculates as 2 days of effort. If I actually add a second resource, let's see. I'm going to pick something that already exists here, like the architect. So now we have 2 resources on this task I've selected. It's 2 days duration, but because we have 2 people on it, and they're each going to work 2 days, the effort now changed to 4 days. And if I right-click on this and I actually change how much they're going to actually work during that time frame, we can adjust it, and the effort will adjust appropriately. So here you have the example. It's still 2 days long. We have a full-time resource on it for both days, but the architect is only going to work 1 day. So the total effort is recalculated automatically at 3 days. Now, if we open up the Gantt chart, And I'll make this a little bit larger. I'll just show you that the same is true if I dive into any of these tasks in the Gantt chart and I open up the dialog where I can add additional resources. And again, I can make it the architect in this example. And if I click over to the task and it asks me to save that resource, it too is going to adjust automatically the effort here inside the Gantt chart view. So whether you're doing it in your diagram or if you're doing it in the Gantt view, it will automatically synchronize across the different views. Another time-saving enhancement that we added inside here is the ability to insert subtasks, sibling tasks, or predecessors and successors by right-clicking on the Gantt chart on a specific task and going to the Insert options. So those are a few new project planning enhancements. And I'm going to jump over to the next diagram to walk you through some of the additional changes that we've enabled to allow you to visualize this information in new and powerful ways. So, in this example, I have a status report, but before I send it to the stakeholders of the project, I want to actually clean it up a bit and make it more presentable. So, if I go now into, where am I going to go? I'm going to go into the new design and format sections. So in the ribbon itself, we've taken one ribbon from MindManager 2019 or 2018, and we've expanded it into two separate ribbons. The design, which looks at things from the map level, and the format, which will look at things from the topic or branch perspectives. So here, if I select the central topic, or even if I don't, we have a new way to control the layout of the entire diagram. So I can, with a click, just go to any of these different layouts and make adjustments and pick the layout that I like the best. Now, personally, I like this right-facing layout, but I think it's kind of convoluted over here. So I'm going to start to look at some of the new themes that we put into place. So if I open up the themes, with a click, I could start to see different ways to visualize this information and how do I want to present this. Some of the professional themes, we've got some of the standard that we had from last year, and then a bunch of new stylistic themes that totally look at this information in new, compelling ways. Well, I don't necessarily like that example, but this one is pretty powerful. But my audience, I think the best thing is going to be a professional theme, something like this, or a little bit more down key. Yeah, I like this, but it still looks a little off. So let me highlight another new and powerful feature in the format section. I can take any of these topics and now I can match the width. So everything is the same. And I can actually quickly adjust it so everything's center justified. And now it's starting to look and feel more powerful. So with this match width, you have the ability to select a group of topics, match width for the entire topics of all the topics within the diagram or within a selected branch. So that's a really powerful capability. I also want to highlight something else. Here we have, for instance, a branch, and I want to highlight this risk section a little bit differently. So let's say I want the fill color to actually indicate risk. So I'm going to put something as like a little bit like a tinted red. And now, if I go to the format painter, there are some new options that I can actually paint this format onto. Now, let me take a step back. If you're familiar with the format painter, you could click on any topic, and it will visualize the same way as what I started off to be. So that's the way that the format painter works within MindManager, within Word or PowerPoint or apps like that. It's pretty standard. With this release, we've innovated on it a bit to make it more specific to MindManager. So I can actually take the selected topic and I can make all the siblings look like that, all the descendants look like that, or all topics. In this case, I'll take a look. What does it look like if I make all of the descendants look this way? I kind of like it, but what if I actually made this left justified again? And now I can format paint that to all the siblings so that everything here looks the same. And actually, I might want to unbold this. And then I'll apply that again to all of its siblings. And there I have the look and feel that I want. I'll close that up. And now the next thing I'll do is I'll show you what happens when we publish this or export it to our HTML5 format. So I'm going to jump in here. In this case, I'll just quickly export it. And I'll save it to my desktop. Hit save. And I will open that up. Let's open it up in Edge. Oh, it's opening a lot of things in Edge. Okay, so now it opens inside the browser. And a couple things I want to highlight to you. Everything that we've added inside MindManager will be displayed inside. I think it's taking a moment because it's trying to open up everything that I had previously. So we'll give it a moment to load. But everything that I've created inside MindManager, the new capabilities, the new shapes, it's all visible inside the publishing and the export. This is a completely interactive experience where I can open things up and view it just like it was inside MindManager, so you can share it with whoever you want. And inside this release as well, of this export and publish, we also have a new powerful capability of filtering the content. So I can just quickly click on any of the markers or tags inside this export and visualize that through the power filtering capabilities of showing things, fading things, or hiding things. So lots of options. Plus, if you've saved queries inside MindManager, you can actually run those queries inside the exports now as well. So that is the highlights, or those are, pardon me, the highlights of MindManager 2019. I want to thank you for taking the time and invite you to check out MindManager 19 for yourself, your colleagues, your clients, and everyone else you know who would benefit from these capabilities.